Geeks, and welcome to another exciting video, guys. I have some amazing news for you guys. I know you'll be very excited. I'm very excited. There's officially now infighting within the SEC themselves about what is happening with this lawsuit, and more specifically about clarity. Two commissioners specifically right now have said that we have no clarity at all when it comes to crypto and crypto regulation. And we can't provide any of this crypto to crypto exchanges or cryptocurrency companies. This is huge, and it's almost like they are talking about Ripple, and it's almost like they're testifying to the court. Imagine previous Commissioner Hinman was going to be deposed so we can hear these amazing words that we had no clarity. But now you're getting active commissioners within the SEC, and it's not one, it's two active commissioners within the SEC now saying we have zero notice to be able to give to any crypto exchange or cryptocurrency companies because we lack any clarity within the SEC. And remember, only a few days ago, Judge Netburn declared that previous Commissioner Hinman was a high-ranking official. So what does that make the current commissioners? High-ranking officials. In fact, it makes them active high-ranking officials. So if the SEC was saying, he had his own personal thoughts and at his time things were different, then what do you say about current commissioners? Shouldn't they have learned the lesson of this previous commissioner? Obviously, they should have. And what this goes to do or say is that they still lack fair notice, and this goes to show again what I've been saying over the last couple of videos is there's significant infighting within the SEC, which is very, very, very bad for the SEC. And I think this infighting has been going on for quite a time, but now it's reached really a core level, and a level that in fact will impact this lawsuit. Think about it. A previous commissioner was hired, this was maybe 3 months ago, was hired for 1 week and then resigned. What does that tell you about what's going on within the SEC? And it's really going to be a red flag for the Judge Netburn, as to whether there is clarity or lack of clarity. Remember, we have a vital decision that we are waiting on in the next couple of days and potentially weeks, is the decision to dismiss the case for Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson. And the dismissal was based on the lack of fair notice, and that they could have not known whether XRP was a security or not. How can the SEC argue that now, given that they have current commissioners after 8 years, and after filing this lawsuit for about 8 months now, we're into the lawsuit, and these commissioners within the SEC are saying we still lack any clarity and we still can't provide notice to crypto exchanges as to which cryptocurrencies are currencies and which ones are securities. So this could revalidate and re-verify the motion to actually dismiss these cases against Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse, which would really make the complete case irrelevant and dead in its waters right this second. I think what the SEC is going to do now, remember, they only have a very short time span right now to decide as to how to progress to the next stage. They have until the 27th for Mr. Hinman to be deposed, and regardless of what Mr. Hinman says now becomes even almost irrelevant, because you have active leaders within the SEC right now saying what we were hoping Mr. Hinman was going to say. Now that's public, and they've actually broadcasted it live. This is public record now that they're saying that we have no clarity to this point. Active commissioners. Remember, again, I'm going to say this again. Judge Netburn declared that these commissioners are all high-ranking officials within the SEC, which means that what they say is representative of the SEC's strategy and the SEC's thought process, supposedly. So really, this is going to reaffirm the whole strategy that Ripple has been saying from day one, is that we didn't have any fair notice. And if you, the SEC yourself, and members within your leadership team don't know whether crypto is a security or it's not, then how could you expect cryptocurrency companies to know, or members within cryptocurrency companies to know? This is going to be a very big deal for the SEC. Again, the SEC have two very important dates that are about a week and a half away now. They have the 27th for Mr. Hinman to be deposed, and then you have the 28th for them that are supposed to be sending this letter to Senator Warren. Remember, Ripple has not to this point got a single internal document from the SEC. We heard this very clearly and then straightforwardly said to the judge in the last discovery hearing. Judge Neber, Ripple's team said, Judge, you've asked for this twice and we have still not heard that God received a single document. What does it tell you about the SEC and the fear that the SEC have from releasing these documents? But imagine their commissioners now start releasing information that would have been on these documents. The lack of fair notice as an example of that. You're going to be the SEC is really going to be in trouble, and they're going to have to really squash and shut down this case as quick as possible. And there's no quickest way to shut down this case than with a settlement between them and Ripple. In fact, now they can go into a settlement with a bit of a better tone, given that Ripple and the SEC have just sent a joint letter to the judge saying we have develop more fruitful discussions. They've told it that those discussions were in relevance to Mr. Hinman's deposition. But really, when you have fruitful discussions, they can at any moment sway roads and start talking about a settlement rather than talking about a very small part of this lawsuit. Remember, guys, really this lawsuit is getting very close to an end. And I know a lot of people think end of August is a long time away, but in reality, it's only about 5 or 6 weeks away right now. So it's really counting. Every day really counts now. And I think this is the moment for the SEC to save face and really get out with a settlement, and whatever they can get from Ripple, they get. And I think that is really what's going to happen. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of drama that we're going to see from the SEC internally. And this is a very smart move. And I don't know if this was intentional by Ripple or not, but I've mentioned this various times. Ripple has contacts that are within the SEC, within the current administration, even within Biden's administration and Democrats' administration. They have the treasurer, and look what the new treasurer is saying right now. She's saying that we need to look at a digital currency. Now, who would know best the current treasurer? I would say a previous treasurer is the person that would probably know the most about connecting and understanding the thought process, at least, of the current treasurer. And Ripple has, the previous treasurer on their team. If you want to know who understands the SEC and knows what documents are hidden within the SEC and what really hurts the SEC and who was with, this lawsuit and who was against it and who understands whether there are regulation clearly or not, it's going to be a previous chairman of the SEC, and Ripple has a previous chairman, Mary White, on their legal team. So really, right now, the SEC is at a critical point where not really are they going to win or not. We're much past that. I think they have an understanding that this lawsuit is not going to go their way. But I think they're at a critical point of trying to resolve these internal problems and settle this lawsuit as fast as possible without having their reputation completely tarnished by this lawsuit much beyond Ripple. And I think what Ripple is hoping to get is clarity and hoping to be declared a cryptocurrency, official cryptocurrency. And that scares the SEC, because if they do that, then they'll have to start declaring other cryptocurrencies as currencies officially, which means their limited access becomes to suing and making money off these crypto exchanges and cryptocurrency companies. So they lose a path of generating income. But really, they have to look now they're going to have to start to look at themselves individually being influenced, and really their career, potentially losing their career. I mean, there's a lot of corruption within the SEC. We've seen this not just from this case. I mentioned a couple of videos ago, and I mentioned it over and over again, that there were 25 years and the SEC got caught red-handed, actually destroying documents for companies they were suing. They had documents that proved that these companies were not doing anything wrong, and they destroyed these documents to try and save themselves and try to keep these lawsuits going. So they have been caught previously, and if you start having to look into the SEC more in depth, or they start looking more in depth into the SEC for the purpose of this lawsuit, looking at internal documents, they may find things that were really not only hurt individuals in the SEC, but may hurt the integrity of the SEC as a whole. Remember, they're supposed to be there to protect investors. And really, how much are you protecting investors if you are involved in getting paid by crypto companies or by other companies that you're supposedly, suing. Or you're supposedly saying that they're not doing anything wrong. Really, you're going to get a lot of leaders, I think, within the SEC that are going to get hurt by this. And maybe there are some of the leadership within the SEC are starting to notice this, and they're starting to pull away. I mentioned in a previous video that, I imagine a commissioner going in, or someone go to, and after a week they resign. What does that signal to you? That signals that they fear something much bigger, or that they weren't willing to do something wrong and they got fired because of it. So really, you have some big deal information coming in the days to come. I think we are on the verge of a settlement, probably I hope in the next couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, but really the next, at the 27th, particularly in the 28th and the end of this month are going to be critical months as to how everything in crypto will proceed moving forward. Thank you for watching this video, guys, and I will most definitely see you in the next one.